If you're frustrated with feeling like God's not really answering my prayers, there's so many things I've asked for and I haven't seen it come to fruition, okay? Or if you're frustrated with, just feeling sad often, right? And you're a Christian, you're like, why is this happening? I'm a Christian. Things should be good. I should be joyful. I should see God's power move in my life. And what I am telling you today is this has really transformed my life. And I know this thing works because a lot of people read this. The formula is in here, okay? A lot of people read this as kind of like a personal development book or like just a positive read. And what I'm telling you is that if you read this and actually do what it says, okay, not just go to Sunday church and listen to a good sermon, actually do what this thing says, it will transform your life. And has transformed my life. I've seen it manifest in real Christians. And I say real Christians, not that they're not going to heaven. It's just like real Christians who really follow this book. I've seen it manifest in my life. And guys, I can tell you so many stories of how God has come through, how God has answered prayers, how God kept me joyful, even when I've had some seriously dire circumstances. Okay. There's a formula that is just so powerful and it does work. And I want to share that with you guys today. This has truly transformed my life. This is probably one of the most powerful verses for me in my whole Christian walk. And I often think about it. I've often restated it. So I'm excited to talk about it. So it's in John 15. Again, this is a formula. Just please follow along with me. It's John chapter 15. We're going to start chapter 4. Abide in me, I in you. The title is called I am the true vine. Abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Okay? If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch that withers. And the branches are gathered, thrown into the fire and burned. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you may bear much fruit and so prove to me to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. Okay? So you're asking, how do you remain in the vine? How do you abide in God? Well, he actually lays it out right here. He says, if you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love. And then you may be wondering, okay, then what are his commandments, right? It's actually very simple because it says in verse 12, okay, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Okay? That's really it. Jesus said all of the commandments, if you combine it in one, it really just summarizes to this, to love God and love his people. Okay? So that is really it. The formula is you have to abide in him. To abide in him, you have to obey his commandments. To obey his commandments, it's to love one another. Okay? And you get two real clear benefits. He says, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. So you're going to start getting your prayers answered. Secondly, he says in verse 11, these things I have spoken to you that your joy may be in you and that your joy may be full. Okay? So let's kind of just break this down because I am telling you guys, I cannot emphasize enough how much this has truly transformed my life. And so I, for many years, have lived really selflessly. I often did not think about myself. I often thought about how I can love other people. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but I've ran a homeless ministry for over 10 years. It was not easy work, okay? Talking to them was not easy. Going out there in Saturday mornings, right, was not easy. But I went every single morning. Now, I stopped doing the ministry for a while now, but when I was doing it, I truly tried to love people. I bought them food. I don't want to talk about all the things that I did, but I did a lot for the homeless people. And you may be thinking, oh, Peter's such a good guy. You know, he's serving. And what I can tell you is I received so much more than what I gave. And that's kind of the law of life that God has set for us. That if you love people, it is antithetical, because we think, the world says, especially if, you know, all these movies and, you know, whatever, their narrative is that, oh, if I do something pleasurable, if I do something for myself, then I will be happy, right? That's the narrative. That's what all the movies show what we should do. If I have a Lamborghini, if I sleep with all these people, if I have the power, if I blah, 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 blah. But that is not the law of that God put into the world. It's the exact opposite. It's the low will be high, the high will be low, okay? If you serve, if you abide in God, which is to love other people, you will experience lasting joy, okay? You can get a nice toy, like you can get a new car, you'll be happy for maybe a month, maybe 6 months, but eventually that happiness goes away. Happiness is temporal. It only happens for a moment in time. But if you want lasting joy comes, joy is different than happiness, in my opinion. Lasting joy comes from abiding in God, from loving other people, okay? When you love other people, that joy comes to you. And so, listen, you don't have to go serve on a homeless ministry in order to get love. In order to give love. But I can guarantee you, you have opportunities every single day. That person that is really just someone you just don't want to be around, okay? That person who really annoys you, that person, it could be your spouse, okay? It could be a sibling. It could be, you know, your college friend. It could be anybody. You have opportunities in front of you to love people. And what God is saying is stop following your feelings, because your feelings are going to tell you, I don't want to love this person. Stop following those feelings. That's not what God said. God never said, follow your feelings. Do whatever you wish. Do whatever you feel. Okay? That's what the devil says. God says to love despite your feelings. Do you think Jesus wanted to go to the cross and die and suffer? No. He loved despite what he felt. And that's what he's calling you to do. To love despite what you feel. There are opportunities for you today for you to love. And as you regularly love, you're going to start seeing joy, lasting joy, actually remain in you. So that's the joy part. The asking whatever you wish part, I am such a huge believer. Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God. You guys all know that one, right? It's like, I am such a huge believer. Because I've seen a lot of Christians who are not really seeing God manifest, God answer their prayers. And yet a lot of them are living in sin. A lot of them are living selfishly. A lot of them are, et cetera, et cetera. I am telling you that if you want to see God move, really move in your life, and you want to see God's power, you have to, again, abide in God. This is the formula, right? And I had to take it from multiple places, but abide in God is number one, okay? Which means you have to love one another, right? So that's number one. And by loving one another, one of the formulas, one of the variables for that is you got to forgive, okay? So that's what love is. Forgiveness is not you doing something because you feel like it, okay? You're forgiving despite your feelings. I know I said that multiple times. But that's one thing. Don't let bitterness, resentment remain in you. If you want to see God work in you, forgive. That's a part of loving one another, okay? The other part is faith. You have to have faith, okay? Listen, nothing will happen unless you have faith. Faith is something that, believing in something that you don't see. You could be the smartest person in the world, and that's going to be your biggest problem. You could be so logical, and that's your biggest problem. I have seen God work so powerfully in people, but they had a lot of faith, and they believe like it already happened. So that's another, I don't want this to be long. So faith is number one. Believe, really believe. You got to be a little stupid in some ways because that's how you could be so powerful. God says, God, he uses the foolish to confound the mighty. Really, you have to be a little foolish in this worldly sense to see God move. Abide in God, and then gratitude. My goodness gracious, I have to say, one of the variables that you need to do is constantly have gratitude for the Lord. That's a heart position that is required for God to move in you. Be grateful for everything. Be grateful for what you do have. Stop dwelling on the things that you don't have, okay? And have dependence for the Lord, right? Dependence. You may be making $500,000 a year, okay? I don't know. You may have a house, you may have like financial security, and that's your biggest problem. Have dependence on the Lord. Know that God can take it away like this, okay? So again, the formula is, the first one is abide in God. We all know that one. Faith so strongly that you believe it already happened. Because I just have seen God move in my life and others like this. And gratitude, okay? Being in a posture of gratitude. And you will see God move in your life. I can guarantee you. Come back, comment. Do these things. And this book, it says in or John 15, if you believe that I'm lying, just read the chapter. The formula is there, and it does work. I could talk about all the things God has done in my life, and they're pretty, even in the worldly sense, it's pretty crazy, okay? But I will say that this formula works for everyone, not just me. I did follow through. I actually did what this book says, and I've seen it work for me. So listen, I don't get paid on commission here, all right? I'm just telling you something that has really worked for me, and I've seen it work for so many others. So don't read this book as like it's a, like a personal development book, a feel-good book. This is an instructional book that is meant to be instructional. And if you follow it, you will see the fruits from it, guys. You will find yourself more peaceful, more joyful, more patient, more kind, etc., etc. You'll bear much fruit. So I'll stop there. Thank you for watching, and I hope this encourages you guys. Talk to you later.